Hare Krishna, welcome to chapter 15, Yoga of the Supreme Person. Let us do the Mangala Charan. Om Ajnana Timivandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasme Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopeshta Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavenebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So welcome again, chapter 15, Yoga of the Supreme Person. I'm going to launch a poll for everyone to answer. There's 3 questions that you should see on your screen. Please try to answer that as sincerely and honestly as you can. So we got 33 participants. Let's see how many can answer. First one, how convinced are you that Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Can you see the poll?
Yes, Prabhu, we can see it.
All right, so.
How are they coming? I think they're still reading the questions.
Okay. And the third question is specifically for, so each question is for you, right? Third one is, do you accept that life is to be happy and enjoy? Rasastali, try to answer it on the poll. So those of you that came in now, please, you'll see a poll, 3 questions. Please try to answer those 3 questions. We'll give you 2-3 minutes. We are nearly halfway through. First one, how convinced are you that Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Second one, if Sri Krishna appeared right next to you while you were watching a non-devotional movie, eating something not offered or quarreling, what would you do? You cannot find it. Maybe try to log out and log in again. Okay, 22. The Rasa Stali, can you still see it? I can just take a screenshot. You found it, okay. You found it in a green poll in progress, correct. All right, we'll give 1 more minute. So far, it's interesting. "30 seconds more. "20 seconds. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now. And share the results. Mukund, you can see the results?
Yes, Prabhu, we can see it.
So, how convinced are you that Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? 93%, 25 of you said yes. 100% and over, very good. And 2 between 50 and 99, very good. Hopefully after this chapter, those who are in the category of between 50 and 99%, this chapter may convince you to 100 and over, because it is entitled Purushottam Yoga, the yoga of the Supreme Person. And this chapter specifically is recommended to be studied and read in the month of Purushottam. The month of Purushottam got her name from Krishna, Purushottam. In fact, when, I'm sure you must have heard, when the personality of this month went to Vishnu lamenting, and Lord Vishnu took her to Goloka Vrindavan, which Krishna is also going to explain in this chapter, share with us in this chapter. Krishna got married to Mother Purushottam, or Mother, the month of Purushottam, and in this way, Adimas, and in this way, whatever belonged to the Supreme Lord now belonged to the month of Purushottam. If Sri Krishna appeared right next to you while you were watching a non-devotional movie, eating something not offered, or quarreling, what would you do? 3 said, stop what I'm doing and receive the Lord. Very good. And 24, stop, receive the Lord, and beg his mercy. Very good. Nobody said nothing, ignore the Lord and continue, which is a very good sign, which means that all of you are theistic, you believe in the Supreme Lord, and you also not passive atheistic. You get an active atheist who does not believe in God, and he proclaims to believe in God and he doesn't care. A passive atheist is someone who accepts the Lord, but in fact, yes. So this question is to explain that there is something called a passive atheist, where we may do something wrong without being conscious that the Lord is everywhere. Even though we accept the Lord, we may not fully recognize and appreciate and accept and realize He's everywhere, because if we did realize He's everywhere, we would not engage in any sinful activity or try to avoid as much as possible. because we know he's watching and he's always with us. He's in our heart and he's everywhere. And then how many accept that life is to be happy and enjoy? 16 said yes, 9 said no, and 2 were a little confused. So life is meant to be happy and enjoy. But the secret is in relation, in cooperation with the Supreme Personality of God. All right, wonderful. Thank you very much. Let us begin this chapter. Based on the teachings of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Summary of this chapter: the ultimate purpose of Vedic knowledge is to detach oneself from the entanglement of the material world and to understand Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one who understands Krishna's supreme identity, surrenders unto him, and engages in his devotional service. So majority of the people do not surrender and engage in pure devotional service to the lotus feet of Krishna. Why? Because they do not accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the reason they don't accept the Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because they don't know the ultimate purpose of the Vedas. Because the purpose, the focus, you'll find the Vedic scriptures are directing us. The first statement in the Vedanta Sutra, Tato Brahma Jignasa. Now that you have a human form, inquire into the absolute truth. So if one is inquiring about the absolute truth and one studies the Vedas properly, under proper guidance, one has to come to the conclusion that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The link between chapter 14 and chapter 15. So at the end of chapter 14, Krishna described that one transcends the modes of material nature through devotional service. But to attain devotion to him, one needs a detachment from the material world. Lord Krishna then begins chapter 15 by explaining the need for detachment by a metaphor that compares the material world to an ashwatha, a banyan tree. Then Krishna describes Purushottam Yoga in text 6 to 20. So the breakdown of chapter 15, 4 divisions, 1 to 5, 6 to 11, 12 to 15, and 60 to 20. Very wonderful sections. We're going to start covering the first section, verses 1 to 5, becoming detached from the material world, the reflection of the spiritual world. So Krishna begins this chapter. Can please repeat? Shri Bhagavanu Vacha
Sri Bhagavanu Vacha
Urdhva Mulam Adasakam
Urdhva Mulam Adhasakam
Ashwatam Prahur Avyayam
Ashvatam Prahur Avayam
Chandamsi Yasya Parnani
Chandam Sri Yasya Parnani
Yastam Veda Sa Vedavit.
Yastam Veda Savedavat.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upwards and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. So Krishna is using this example of the banyan tree, but an upside down banyan tree. And the spiritual world is the actual banyan tree. And when you create a perverted reflection, you get an upside down banyan tree, which Krishna is using as an analogy in relation to the material world. So the material world is actually an upside down banyan tree. And it's interesting, Krishna uses this analogy of a banyan tree. If you see a banyan tree, it's very difficult to know which is the main root, because the banyan tree grows and then all the branches start to go to the ground again and become actual roots again. And from there, they start to grow. And in this way, practically all over, the banyan tree spreads with its roots grounded very, very solidly into the ground. So it spreads, and it's very difficult to know where it begins and where it ends. Similarly, the material world and the entanglement of living entity is very difficult to know when it began and when it's going to end. And the example that Krishna is using of a reflection is also very appropriate. Here you have a mango tree, and the mango tree is reflected into a body of water. So in the chat, I'd like you to answer the question: can one enjoy the reflection that is there in that water, the mango reflection, the reflection of the mango? Can you enjoy that? Right, so most of you answering no. All right, good, thank you. So you can enjoy that reflection of the mango. In fact, the mango looks exactly like the original one on the tree. It has the same color, same form, and you can enjoy that mango, but you can only enjoy it subtly. If somebody jumps into the lake to grab the mango, they wouldn't grab anything. But just by looking at it, you're thinking, wow, that looks like a very nice mango. Let's say you come to this lake or river and you don't have any clue that this tree exists, original tree. And you look into the reflection and you see the reflection of the tree and you see the mango. So by looking at it, you immediately desire to eat the mango. And you are enjoying the mango in your mind. It's not tangible, but you can enjoy and relish the mango in your mind. You can try to go and grab the mango. It won't really be in your hand. In fact, when you grab it, you see the reflection moves. And then, you try to grab it, reflection moves. So you find the actual mango really misses you. Right? Now, similarly, this material world is also a perverted reflection. And all living entities are trying to enjoy aspects in relation to this material world. But you'll find that majority of the enjoyment, if not everything, is existing only in your mind. The soul really cannot grasp any tangible enjoyment in this material world. Why? Because it's not spiritual. The living entity is really looking for this enjoyment, the spiritual world. When you come here and you look upstairs, or somebody says, hey, there's the mango. The spiritual master comes, the acharyas, the Lord himself comes. There's the mango on the tree. Oh, now you can grab that mango and relish it. So we don't want to look into the reflection and try to enjoy the reflection. We really want to look into the spiritual environment and enjoy that, because that's tangible. And it's there for us because it's our home. Naturally, in the spiritual world, Krishna is the center and everybody is around Krishna, giving pleasure to Krishna and enjoying. In the material world, we trying to be the supreme lords. We are the center. We trying to enjoy the facilities, and we will never, ever be satisfied. We will always end up being frustrated. So don't try to enjoy the reflection. So from verses 1 to 2, Krishna describes and elaborates different aspects of this banyan tree, different parts of the banyan tree. So the spiritual world is there, which is the eternal real tree. And there's the reflection, which is the material world. And just briefly, we'll go over what are the different aspects of this tree. So this banyan tree is representing the entanglement of the material world, a reflective medium. The original tree is the spiritual world, and the material world is reflecting on desire, which is the perverted reflection. So the basis, which we're going to discuss, is desire. The foundation is desire. Nourishment, the three modes of material nature, good, goodness, passion, ignorance, they the nourishment, they water this tree. The roots, the real roots of this material existence grow upwards, topmost, to the topmost planet of the universe, Brahmaloka. The secondary roots are in the human planetary systems, Bhuloka, and grow downwards and spread in all directions. The subsidiary roots are attachments and aversions, which are byproducts of different varieties of suffering and sense enjoyment. Tendencies towards piety and impiety are considered to develop from these secondary roots. So all the different secondary roots, subsidiary roots are hate, attachment and aversion, right? Likes and dislikes, suffering and enjoyment, piety and impiety, the aspects of duality within the material world. The branches, you get upper and lower branches, which is basically the planetary systems. The various manifestations, the lower parts of the branches are human beings, animals, horses, cows, dogs, etc. And the upper parts are demigods, Gandharvas, and many other higher species of life. The green leaves, these are the Vedic hymns, the ritualistic formulas of the Vedas. The twigs, they're the sense objects, sound, form, touch, etc. The tips of the branches are the senses, eyes, ears, nose, etc. The fruits is karma of the jiva, which is basically dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, different types of reactions and results. And the living entity's involvement. He hops from one branch to another trying to taste the fruits. Cannot see how far the tree extends or where it ends. Although the living entities are the eternal fragmental parts of Krishna, they are struggling with their senses, trying to enjoy. So desire is the foundation or the basis of this reflected tree. And you'll see that desire, because the tree is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world, the desire is between the spiritual world and the material world. And that is very, very important for us to appreciate and understand. We're going to read some of the statements where Srila Prabhupada talks about desire throughout his Bhaktivedanta purports. In essence, we have full control of where we want to be. Yesterday we spoke about choice. We always have choice. So we can decide to be in this mesh of the perverted reflection, or we can decide to be in the spiritual world. It's our choice. And in essence, it's based on desire. If you simply change your desire, you will progress spiritually. So Prabhupada says, one should desire and hanker after that spiritual kingdom. For when one attains that kingdom, he does not have to return to this material world. So Prabhupada is encouraging us. We should desire to go back home. We should desire, we should hanker to go to the spiritual kingdom. As one advances, then yes, one will just desire wherever Krishna wants us to go. But at least initially, it's a very healthy desire to go back, to want to go back, because then you can change your actions. The super soul fulfills the desire of the atomic soul as one friend fulfills the desire of another. So the super soul's business, as long as you're in the material world and you desire, the super soul is going to fulfill your desire. Yes, you won't get all your desires fulfilled in one lifetime or immediately. Because remember, we mentioned first in, first out. You got many other desires that Krishna got in queue that needs to be fulfilled. So he will fulfill it in due course of time. It's described that we have mountains and mountains. Like if you had to take the Himalayan mountains and multiply that, millionfold, huge amounts of karma and desires that needs to be fulfilled is waiting for us. In Bhagavad-gita 271, real desirelessness is desire for satisfaction of Krishna, not an artificial attempt to abolish desires. The living entity cannot be desireless or senseless, but he does have to change the quality of the desires. And we'll see going forward in the next few chapters, Krishna will make it very clear that the living entity is not the main doer. We only do, the spirit soul does only due to desire, only by desire. So all you can do, the furthest you can act in this material world is desire. That's it, nothing more than that. As soon as you desire, the super soul, the modes of material nature, they basically take over and do everything. So you only get credit for desire. The main credit goes to the other aspects of material nature and the super soul. We should not desire anything except we simply desire how to serve Krishna, how to remain a pure devotee of Krishna. Then our life is successful. We are not rotating throughout the whole universe in different types of bodies just to fulfill our damned desire. Very interesting adjective Prabhupada uses, our damned desire. It's like sometimes we get so frustrated, right? We say, damn, why I'm in this situation. Well, because of your damn desire. So don't desire that way. That's all. Therefore, our first qualification is no desire. Simply desire to worship Krishna. That is qualification. Then everything will be revealed. Buddhi yogam dadami tam. Then everything will come from him. So change your desire. And how do you change your desire? Associate with those that have changed the desires. Read Bhagavad-gita, it will change your desire. And if you change your desire in the right way, then you will be happy because you are moving in the right direction at the felt of Krishna's lotus feet. Now, texts 3 and 4, the Lord says, the real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down the strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. So the Lord is making it very clear that this banyan tree needs to be cut. Asanga shastrena drine drid hena chitva. But with determination, one must cut down the strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. So it's the weapon of detachment that we need to use to cut this tree. Now, here's an example of a sense object that you desired in your hand. And it could be anything that you desire, that the living entity desires. So many sense objects are there for the living entity to enjoy. And Maya Devi, the materialists, the media, the advertising boards are there to say, try this. Oh, you're not happy? Okay, that's because you got an old version. Try the new version. You'll be happy if you take the new version, the latest version. That will definitely help you. So in this way, one object after another, the living entities are trying. So there's your sense object. Now we need to cut that with the weapon of detachment. So there's two ways we can detach ourselves from that object. One is we can use the power of discrimination and simply drop the object of our hand. So if I got that object, I'm enjoying that object, just let go. Just leave it, give it up, right? So that's one way. It's a little more difficult, but that is one way that you understand that, oh, this is bad for me. It's either bad for my health, it's not pleasing to Krishna. Remember, ultimately, our motto, our basis for enjoying something or not is this pleasing to Krishna? Yes, then let me accept it. Is it displeasing to Krishna? Yes, let me reject it. That's our basis. So this object that I'm enjoying, is Krishna happy with me? Yes. Okay. Is Krishna not happy with me? He's not happy. Take it. Let it go. So let it go. Drop it. That's one way. The other way is if I got that object in my hand, then all I do is I go grab my bead bag. Okay. There's the object in my hand. Let me give an example. So here's a USB. And now I'm going to go grab my bottle of water. So I'm going to go grab my bottle of water. As soon as I grab the bottle of water, what happens to the USB?
Drops down.
Automatically falls away. So when I automatically embrace spiritual practices, like chanting the holy names, devotional practice, automatically that which I'm attached to will fall away. I change my attachment. I'm attached to sense objects. All I do is I change my attachment. If I change my attachment, get a higher taste, automatically the lower taste will fall away. So that's detachment. Krishna, in the Acharya is described in a discussion with Arjuna, Krishna says that as you're using this axe, this weapon, to cut away this tree, this banyan tree, with detachment, it gets blunt. So therefore you need to sharpen your detachment, your sword, your weapon of detachment. And what do you use to sharpen? The power of discrimination. And it is human beings that has the greatest power of discrimination. So we have to keep sharpening with the power of discrimination, with transcendental knowledge, and using the weapon of detachment, cut away our attachment to this material nature at its root. In text 5, Krishna then describes who will be able to surrender to the Supreme Person. So after describing this banyan tree, the descriptions of it, how to uproot ourselves, because the living entity is going from one place to another, trying to enjoy and never satisfied. And now Krishna is describing who's ready, who's qualified, who's that person that is able to surrender. And he gives few characteristics and qualities. Nirmama, one who is free from false ego and pride. Moha, freedom from illusion. Jita Sangha dosha, freedom from false association. Adhyatma nitya, understand the eternal. Dvandvair, vimukta, freedom from dualities. Vinirvrita kama amudda, done with material lust and unbewildered. So that person who is now fed up, frustrated, had enough with the material world. Prabhupada said, for you to take to spiritual life and surrender, you have to be sufficiently frustrated. If you're not sufficiently frustrated, then you're going to think life is nice, blissful, I'm happy, why should I surrender? You have nothing else to do, that's why you want to surrender, I'm happy. So one has to be really frustrated with life that, again and again I've been trying. In fact, we've been trying for billions of lifetimes. This is not our first life. It's not even our first human life. We've gone through every single species of existence, 8.4 million species, not just once, millions, trillions of times, again and again and again and again. Bhutva, Bhutva Pralaya, Krishna says. That's why it's since time immemorial, we are like practically nitabada, like practically and eternally conditioned. And still, we are not fully satisfied. Internally, we are not fully satisfied. But when we surrender to the Supreme Lord, we become frustrated and we understand that, hold on, I need to find the appropriate solution, and you get directed to the appropriate solution by getting Bhagavad-gita and the knowledge of Bhagavad-gita and you surrender to Krishna, then you will find for the first time you can actually experience what it means to be internally satisfied. That heavy load, that heavy burden is removed. And then you find that doesn't matter what the external environment presents, you are fixed, you are situated, and you're happy. And you know it's only a question of time until I completely surrender to the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world. Then we come to the second section. Now the Lord, even though Krishna described in different verses throughout the Bhagavad-gita in terms of transmigration, second chapter, the first 6 chapters, in the middle 6 chapters, Krishna described this point in different ways, different verses. Now the Lord is going to explain a little more. So first in text 6, Krishna describes that the spiritual is, the material world is diametrically opposite. We need to cut this material world and our attachment to it, go back to the spiritual world. And Krishna says that supreme abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon or by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. So it's interesting that Krishna is giving us a description of the spiritual world in relation to our experience in this material world. In this material world, just consider if there is no sun, no moon, no fire, and no electricity, what's going to happen? Let's say next 5 minutes, no sun, no moon, no fire, no electricity. What's going to happen?
Dark.
It'll be total darkness. Yes, total darkness. You weren't able to see anything. So Krishna is giving us a glimpse of the spiritual world. And he's not describing what the spiritual world is because it will be far beyond our comprehension, especially for the material mind. He's telling us what the spiritual world is in relation to the material mind. Material mind can understand sun, moon, fire, electricity. In the spiritual world, you don't need that. Wow, that's interesting. Which means the spiritual world is self-effulgent. You don't need these things for the spiritual world to be lit up. It's self-effulgent. The other aspects of the spiritual world. The spiritual world is made up of chintamani, touchstone. A touchstone is if you use it, you can use a touchstone to touch anything and turns into gold. Touchstone. People will die for it in this material world. Everyone in this material world is running after money. Whereas in the spiritual world, chintamani is what the spiritual world is made up of. People walk on chintamani in the spiritual world. They're not worried about chintamani. No chinta, no anxiety for money. They're walking on it. In the material world, everyone has anxiety, chinta for money. In the spiritual world, no one is worried. Why? Because everyone's got Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's wishful desire trees everywhere. There's kamadhenus, wishful cows. That means you can get anything you want from these trees and cows. You want to offer Krishna some milkshake, mango milkshake? No problem. Kamadhenu, please give me some mango milkshake for Krishna. Immediately mango milkshake is there. You can offer it to Krishna. So those are aspects of the spiritual world. Brahma Samhita says, the spiritual world, in the spiritual world, every step, that means normal walking, is dancing in the spiritual world. Every word, just speaking, every word is a song in the spiritual world. And every day is a festival in the spiritual world. Just try to appreciate if just walking is dancing, what's real dancing in the spiritual world? If just speaking is singing, what's singing in the spiritual world? And if an ordinary day is a festival in the spiritual world, what's a real festival in the spiritual world? And that's where we belong. That's where we're desiring to go. And Krishna is giving us that opportunity to return back home. The spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan, is said to be the topmost. It's Madhurya Dham, most sweetest abode. Then there's Ayodhya. Then there's Vaikunta with all the incarnations and Vishnu expansions. Stay eternally, just like Lord Nrsingadev has his planet, Prahlad Maj is there. And then we have Sadashiva Loka, Lord Shiva and Parvati. They have their spiritual abode called Sadashiva Loka. And then the Brahmajyoti, and then obviously the material world. So that's a quick glimpse of the spiritual reality. And according to our relationship, one will be in one of these different abodes. Then in text 7, Krishna says, you can repeat, Mame vamso jiva loke.
Mame vamso jiva loke.
Jiva bhuta sanatana.
Jiva bhuta sanatana.
Manashastan indriyani.
Manasastanda indrayani.
Prakritistani karsati.
Pratritristani karstati.
The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which include the mind. So Krishna is telling us very clearly, Mame Vamso. Amsa means a part, a fragmental part. So we are parts of Krishna. He's the whole, we are part of that whole. Just like a family, we have parents, and part of the family is the children. So it's not like we are broken parts, right? Fragmental doesn't mean broken. We are broken part of Krishna. No, we are a complete, infinitesimal part of Krishna. Right? Amsa, we are small. In Sanskrit, sometimes it's very difficult to get an English translation. So Amsa, Krishna says, my Amsa, they are my part and parcels. So we are connected to Krishna. Yesterday we heard Krishna says, I am the seed-giving father. Again, Krishna is saying, they're all connected to me. So Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we are all his servants. Then Krishna is giving you an astrological chart. You don't need to go to any astrologer. Here's the prediction. Krishna is giving you an free astrological reading. Due to your conditioned life, you are struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which includes the mind. That's the bottom line. The struggle may be all in different forms, shapes, sizes, but everyone is struggling. And the struggle will become more and more difficult as time progresses. Why? Because the further you go away from Krishna, the further you detach yourself from Krishna, the more you struggle. Krishna is giving us an opportunity to surrender. Now, I like to ask a question. Let's say you are, those of you are married, great. Those of you not married, assume you're married. Now, if you are married, and let's say your spouse cheats on you, your spouse gets another husband or wife, and you find out, would you want that relationship to continue? Yes or no? Please type in the chat. Nope, 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 nope. Very hard. definitely very hard to continue the relationship, no doubt. Okay, Jivananda, you didn't say no, right? Okay, then we'll extend a little. Let's say you say, okay, it's very hard, but I'll forgive you. Okay, let's say they cheat on you the second time. Jivananda, what you can do now? Okay, maybe the third time. Right? It may be like, hell no. Okay, yeah, it's just not on, right? Now, why? You fell in love with someone and you expect that commitment to one person. Like Lord Ramachandra said, Ekapatni Vrat. You accept one wife, accept one husband. And you till death do us part, according to the Bible. So statements are there that it's one relationship. Now, somebody, the spouse cheats on you, they have another lover. So naturally you feel cheated. And what to talk about if they have multiple relationships. Let's say they go after one another, and like a half a dozen. Then after the half a dozen, let's say the sixth one, they call you. And they say, Jivananda, I'm very sorry. Can I come back home? Would you say, okay, how many did you have? 6 already. No problem. You can come back. There's no way. Just consider, what are we doing with Krishna? Krishna's love and reciprocation. Yesterday we heard how even though we have left Krishna and we're in this material world, in chapter 15, Krishna said he's still maintaining us. And how is he maintaining us? In so many ways. Yet we've separated, Krishna's still maintaining. He's providing all the necessities for us. Why? Because he still loves us. He's right there, accompanying the spirit soul, accompanying us in every species, waiting for us to turn. So even though we've rejected Krishna, we've forsaken Krishna, we're not interested in Krishna, we're loving everyone else and everything else in this material world, life after life after life after life, we're breaking the relationship that we had with Krishna again and again and again. We are, we are like that this distrustful partner many, many times. And if we recognize our mistake and come to Krishna and say, my Lord, I'm so sorry. Please accept me. Krishna, his heart is so big. He loves us so much that he's ready with open arms to accept us and embrace us. This is Krishna, because he knows that there is no other option for you to be happy. Otherwise, you'll be struggling with the 6 senses and the mind. And Krishna does not want us to struggle. That's why he has come to this world to give us, personally, give us the message of Bhagavad-gita. For you and me, he's giving a personal love letter in the form of Bhagavad-gita for us to reawaken, rekindle our loving relationship with him. Let's honor that loving relationship that we have. And you will be over the moon, right? When people in the material world have a relationship, it's like, oh, I'm on heaven, cloud. I'm on cloud 9. So you'll be far beyond the material clouds. You'll be in the spiritual world by surrendering to Krishna, because Krishna will never betray you. Krishna will always protect. Krishna will always be on your side. You can fully depend on Krishna. And Krishna went through so many chapters to describe his glories, that he is supremely powerful. Therefore, you have no fear. You have nothing to worry. Now from 8 to 11, Krishna talks about how we take on different species, different bodies. Krishna says, the living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it, take another. The living entities, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped around them about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of senses, of sense objects. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of modes of nature. But one who sees, but one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. Krishna is making a very fundamental point here, that even though reincarnation is in front of us, every single one of us, transmigration means I've been migrating from one body to another. I had a baby body, a youthful body, an adult body, I'm getting an old body, and then no body. Body is gone. I'm going to get another body. And the mind will take me to my next body. Just like the aroma, the air, when the air flies over a rose, it carries the aroma. Similarly, the mind will carry me to my next body. So it's the mind that is going to give me my next destination. That's why Krishna says, Man mana bhava mad bhakta, think of me. Because if you think of me, then you'll get Krishna's aroma. And that aroma that you get from Krishna, the mind will take you to Krishna. So if one does not endeavor in self-realization, surrender to Krishna, cultivate knowledge coming from Bhagavad-gita, one will never appreciate this point that I'm changing my body, even though it's glaring in front of everyone. There's many evidences of people even recollecting their past lives. What to talk about this life? Even past lives, they are recollecting, documented. In fact, there's one research of even someone who recollected their past life, and the imprint, they used the fingerprint, because everyone has a unique fingerprint. So they even match the fingerprint scientifically. So evidence is there, but Krishna says they will not be able to appreciate. Even though we may try, they will not see this very clearly. They'll get confused. But somebody who surrenders to the Supreme Lord, somebody who accepts Krishna and engages in devotional service, it's it's crystal clear. And because of that, they know that this is the law, and I don't want to be implicated in this law of reincarnation, transmigration. I want to surrender. I want to revive my original spiritual form and return back. So then they act accordingly. Then we come to third section, verses 12 to 15. Krishna is now again going to describe Purushottam Yoga, Krishna's position as the maintainer. So now the Lord is going to describe him as a maintainer. I'm going to share my slide again because I'm going to play an audio. Mukund, you can see the slide?
Yes, Prabhu.
All right, so let's hear Krishna sharing with us him as the supreme maintainer. If we don't surrender to Krishna, we will not recognize Krishna's glory, Krishna's power, his position. Krishna is telling us, for those who don't surrender, they can also still recognize his supremacy by seeing how Krishna is maintaining us in this material world.
O Krishna, is there a way that those without knowledge can see you? Yes, Arjun. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me. and the splendor of the moon, and the splendor of fire are also from me. In the morning, the sun rises in the east, and it allows the living entities to see the objects which they will enjoy. The objects of all good and bad activities are revealed through the sun. Therefore, they should understand that the light of the sun is mine. All these opulences are coming through my prowess, and they should remind the living beings of me. I also enter into the earth, which is like a fistful of dust, and hold it together so it can support the living beings. I become the moon, and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all beings, and I join with the air of life to digest the 4 kinds of foodstuff. I also enter into everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. All these I do for the ignorant beings who want to enjoy this temporary world. However, for those who want liberation, I am the compiler of Vedanta, which explains the purpose of the Vedas, and I am the object of Vedic knowledge. I am also the knower of the Vedas, for it is I, as Vedavyas, who compile Vedanta.
So there Krishna revealed in different ways how he's maintaining us. If Krishna didn't provide the sun, the moon, we would not be able to enjoy. If Krishna didn't provide the planet, we would not be able to enjoy. So even though we are separating ourselves from Krishna, Krishna is still providing all facilities. If Krishna wants, he could say, okay, you don't want to surrender, I'm going to switch off the oxygen. You better surrender, I'm decreasing the oxygen. Okay, I'm going to switch it off completely, you better surrender. But Krishna never does that. Krishna says, okay, I'll give you as much oxygen as you want. Whatever facility you want to enjoy separately. Because that way, I want you to learn your lesson, that this is not the best path. And when you recognize that and you now surrender, then that is loving reciprocation. So Krishna's shared with us. Just consider, if Krishna is providing all facilities for those who leave him, why wouldn't you, and how much, why wouldn't Krishna, and how much more would Krishna provide for somebody who surrenders to him? It's inconceivable. Now we come to 16 to 20, where the Lord is going to describe 3 Sloki Bhagavad-gita. We covered Chatu Sloki Bhagavad-gita. Now Krishna is going to cover 3 Sloki Bhagavad-gita. Bhagavad-gita in 3 verses. In fact, Krishna says this is the Vedic scriptures in 3 verses. The essence of the Vedas in 3 verses. So if you know these 3 verses, you know the Vedas. You know everything. Very wonderful. Let's hear.
You are saying that you are the object of Vedic knowledge, Krishna, but others have different opinions. I am Vedavid, Arjun, the only knower of the Vedas. As Vyasadeva, I have given the meaning to Vedic literature. No other meaning is proper. I am the giver of liberation, the supreme controller, and the knower of the Vedas. Therefore, one should take shelter of me. Since you are the knower and compiler of the Vedas, Krishna, please explain the real purpose of the Vedas, my Lord. I will now give you the essence of the Vedas in 3 verses, Arjun. There are 2 classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is infallible. Besides these 2, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord himself, who has entered the 3 worlds and is maintaining them. Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in this world and in the Vedas as that Supreme Person. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, without doubting, is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me. You have explained this point clearly, Krishna. Still, many people argue over who is supreme. What is the reason for this? They are bewildered by my Maya, Arjun. Even if such persons have studied all the Vedas, if they do not understand that I am the Supreme, then they are simply fools. However, my devotee, even if presented with strong arguments which state that I am not the Supreme, is never bewildered. My devotee is considered all knowledgeable, even if he has never studied the Vedas, because he knows the essence of the Vedas. Some person may have the name Ashrakarna, but that person doesn't really have a horse's ear. Do not think I am named Purushottam like that, Arjun. One who knows me as truly Purushottam, he is unbewildered. One must understand this as I have explained it myself. One who understands the meaning of these 3 verses is all knowledgeable, Sarvavit. He knows the topmost purpose of the Vedas and worships me with all his heart. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures that I am revealing. These 3 verses are Tri Shloki Shastra. I have spoken them to you because you are my supreme devotee. Do not speak them to unqualified people, Arjun. However, when a faithful person hears them, he will become realized, and his endeavors will know perfection.
So here, Lord Krishna calls Arjuna Anaga, means, O sinless one. When we become sinless, we'll be able to appreciate and recognize Krishna's supremacy. And the more we surrender to Krishna's desires, Krishna's instructions, and the process of devotional service, we can become sinless in this world. So very beautiful, the Lord concludes this chapter, that whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, without doubting, is the know of everything, therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. So that doubts that we have, we need to slowly clarify those doubts and make sure that there's absolutely no doubt in our mind, in our consciousness of Krishna's supremacy, his supreme position, and our position as subordinate, part and parcel, as insignificant living beings, simply meant to serve Krishna and Krishna's parts and parcels. And in this way, we would then honor and recognize Krishna as the supreme person, Purushottam. Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gopramanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments anyone has? Okay, I'm going to relaunch the poll, especially for the first question. Let's see how many of you now are convinced that Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Please answer the first question at least. And it's amazing, you know, if you study Vedanta Sutra is so complicated, like Atato Brahma Jignasa. I mean, it could mean Aham Brahmasmi. It could mean so many things. You could interpret it left, right, and center. Whereas Bhagavad-gita is so clear. It's called Gita Upanishad. It is so clear. It is so simple. And it's true, it's simple because we've got it coming into cyclic succession as is. But you don't need to, like, you know, try to uncode it. It's not, it's like a decoding type of verse, and you have to try to uncode it and figure out what it means and put pieces together. No, Krishna is so clear, so crystal clear. All right, 17 people, very good. Yep. All right. I'm sure every one of us, after this chapter, Purushottam Yoga, the yoga of the Supreme Person, we all want to connect. We all want people. We all want to repose our love in someone. It's natural. Nectar devotion describes people are frustrated because they are reposing their love to the wrong place, into the wrong place, to the wrong people. First, repose your love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And when you repose your love to Krishna, then you'll be able to love all his parts and parcels wonderfully. Doing that separately, Krishna says, will be a struggle and one will not be happy. All right. Wonderful. So yes, I'm sure that all of you will say 100% and over. And that is the goal. That is the purpose of Bhagavad-gita. And tomorrow we're going to cover chapter 16, 3 more chapters to concluding Bhagavad-gita as it is. Thank you very much, Mukund. All yours.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Everyone's quiet today. No questions, Prabhu. All in agreement.
Yes, no questions, because Krishna already made a statement. If you know him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you know everything. Therefore, there is no need for any other questions.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay, without further ado, I'd like to just end the program with the closing prayers. You can join me. Om. 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 Om Dyo Shahanti Antariksham Shahanti Pruthavi Shahanti Apah Shahanti Oshadayah Shahanti Vanaswatayah Shahanti Vishvedeva Shahanti Brahma Shahanti Sarvam Shahanti Shahanti Deva Shahanti Shama Shahanti Devi Hari Om Shahanti Shahanti Shahanti. Bolo Shri Krishna Kanaya Lal Ki Jai, Shri Gau Mata Ki Jai. Thank you. That's the end of the program for today. Please do join us again tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Prabhu will be covering chapter 16. Like he said, the last 3 chapters of the Bhagavad-gita. So it will continue. Tomorrow is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So it's the next chapter. The chapters are available if you must start on a class or want to refer back to them. Everything is loaded on the Google Drive. And just this information again, if you missed it over the past few days, if you would like to contribute and do some charity in this Purushottam month, feel free to sponsor a meal for the Food for Life Madrid program that they have. The details are here at the bottom. Or if you would like to visit the Goshala or come feed the Gomatas, there is my number there. You can just message me and make arrangements. So from everybody here at Govinda's Goshala, thank you for joining us. Good to see everybody here and enjoying the class. Thank you once again, Nrsingaranda Prabhu. We'll see you all tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Namaste.
Thank you for a wonderful class.
Thank you.
Mr.